All right, so apparently I'm having some technical difficulties here. There's our 9/11 disclosure, and I'm welcoming Molly Moose to the chat.
Hi, Madeline. How are you?
Oh, hello. Welcome. I am great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for doing the show. And we're praying and hoping Jen Eason pops in and joins us. We'd be so honored. And I'm
Absolutely.
honored to be here with you.
I'm honored to be here with you as well. I can't wait to open up this disclosure slideshow that I've been working on. I'm super excited to just be introducing questions that citizens need to ask in order to understand their government and what their true intention is, and how we can stand up and be the best citizen that we can be in order to sustain our whole society.
Mm-hmm.
So, so you were, can I ask where you were 9/11?
Sure. I was working for an insurance company that actually had an office in Building 7.
Whoa.
And I was adjusting claims for a company insurance, and I absolutely, like everyone else who was old enough, remember everything from that day. And it's amazing to me to have watched you do all the research because, Maddie, I know you were 3 on 9/11/01, and the fact that you have come back around in your life to learn about this event. I am interested also in your experience of that because it's always been hearsay by others, and now you've dug in so deeply that you've come to the truth, and your generation, that's really important, I believe, at this time, and that's why we're doing this.
I definitely super agree. Thank you so much for recognizing my research and dedication to this project.
Yeah.
So, would you like to get into the questions?
Yes.
All right.
Shoot.
So, question 1. Could the events of 9/11/01 have been staged by our US government? So basically what I have provided is just an intro to what we will elaborate on later, because there's so many layers to 9/11. So basically where I began was a lot of press were trying to interview a lot of the government officials, and basically they weren't providing any evidence connecting Osama bin. Okay. I did a little verbation just in case of any form of censory, but and they made claims that they had evidence connecting him, but they never ever provided any evidence to the public that connected him in any form or fashion. They kind of just, I feel they just pulled up these random, like, people who were a part of the US government that looked like Arab, but even some of the hijackers I looked at look Mexican to me. Like, they don't look, they look staged, personally speaking. What is your insight on that, Molly Moose?
Well, the all good observations. To word it in a question form is the best way to leave it, just to get us thinking about any potentials, as far as making claims and statements, but getting to think about it is very thought provoking, all of these questions. So necessary. That's what I think about it.
Definitely. So, what makes you believe that this was fabricated to start a war?
Well, beginning with the number of the date, 9/11, that is, from many sources, many credible sources, the war date, the fact that there's two towers, uh, that would be the first indication I would think about that it would be an operation, and possibly going back in history to discover how other events in history have connected, and seeing also the birth of Jesus, the true birth of Jesus being 9/11. So the importance of learning about the truth of it is really coming back to a place of God and breaking our program of trusting our government as much as we do, I believe.
I hear that. I hear that. Well, I'm going to move on to question 2. Why and how were the hijackers trained in the US government? So, a lot of the hijackers, I believe, in the film Loose Change, they said like 18 out of like the 28 hijackers were trained in the US military. And, excuse me, sorry. And also, they were trained at an Air Force base in California and Florida. So the first two 9/11 hijackers in the U.S., Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Mindar, arrived in Los Angeles on January 15th, 2000. They forged their flight license and began training in a U.S. Air Force base. Flight instructors, quote, they barely knew how to speak English and they didn't seem to have any flight experience. So, first off, my question is, how do they even get into the Air Force with like forged documents? Like, that blows my mind.
Well, it would either have to be fabricated, uh, or it was a different military at that time. It was a military industrial complex that I, I believe there's a facet of the military that has always been working for the good of humanity. And I honor our soldiers absolutely with all my heart and soul. So if it was the military, it would still have been controlled above them. They would have been taking orders uh, to allow this to happen. So maybe some false plants in the military, but the military as a whole, God bless them and their families for all they do for us.
Yes. I also heard that uh, the U.S. government paid for their housing. They were caught going out to eat and going to like the club and like then going to practice the next day, and they were acting like hooligans and stuff like that. Um, so these are the hijackers of Flight 77. This is a passport that was found at the Pentagon. So basically, at the Pentagon, they couldn't find an engine. They found various plane pieces and said that the plane combusted, and but they found a backpack and a passports of the so-called hijackers.
It survived all of that, but the steel could not. Very
Yep,
interesting.
the steel and the aluminum didn't survive, but
And I
these people,
believe Loose Change was the first one to say that, right? Loose
yes,
Change, the
definitely.
movie. Hmm. And this freedomhub.com truth 9/11 truth site they're very excellent at explaining the truth. So you'll be getting that link after the show too.
Definitely, definitely. And so, to elaborate just on this, there wasn't any sign of struggle on Flight 77 towards the Pentagon. A lot of verdicts say that even in their flight simulations, that in this specific flight pattern that was provided, the evidence shows that um, that there isn't any sign of struggle, and there's supposed to be. If somebody's hijacking a plane, you would see like the wings flap or move or jerk. It was in a complete steady pace the entire time, and
Hmm.
a complete steady, like gradual speed as well.
Hmm.
Also, the way that the plane turned is almost nearly impossible for most people or most pilots. It was found that like the 360 turn that they made in order to um hit the Pentagon was like extremely difficult for a majority of pilots.
Hmm. When simulated, yeah.
Mhm.
I
Like
remember hearing that.
not a lot of them could complete the turn.
Hmm. Right. So that good questions to again just think about. Not that we have all the answers, but there's something definitely fishy going on as to the story that was reported to us on mainstream media at the
Yeah,
time and over the years, and still being reported by mainstream media.
exactly. So, how were the war games utilized on 9/11? Well, what is a war game? Well, I'm going to tell you. An often physical or electronic simulation of a military operation involving two or more forces, and using rules, data, and procedures designed to depict an actual or assumed situation. So, basically what a war game is that they're practicing a simulation on citizens in order to see the reaction and the outcome.
Yes, the movie from the 80s showed us all of that with Matthew Broderick, right?
Mm-hmm. 1983 film called War Games. Check it out. Check it out. This stuff is real, guys. Like this disclosure that we've been getting ever since like filming and movies came out is like mind-boggling. Like sometimes we watch some movies and I'm like, "Whoa, this came out so long ago. Like who saw this then? Like how long have they been awake, you know?"
Yeah,
Yeah. So on the day of 9/11, there were war games being practiced. Featured in the film Loose Change, there's a woman in multiple Congress meetings about 9/11. She's stating that there's a practice being done by our government by simulating an attack on our citizens in order to push a specific agenda. They never acknowledge her statement, but you can find her shouting, "Talk about the war games on September 11th." Nobody acknowledges her statement. She is like in multiple meetings. She's always there, always saying, talk about the war games on September 11th. Now,
Wow.
that just discloses to me that they were practicing these things on that day. So, how is that? How could people not connect this?
Mm-hmm. Yes, totally, absolutely. But at the same time, when we're being spellcasted by our mainstream reporters, which isn't investigative reporting, hasn't been, it's been Mockingbird, and uh, we can't fault people for not knowing because you have to be someone who asks why. I've been a why asker my whole life. You have your whole life.
Yep.
And those are the people that know the truth. And it's our duty to share what we know, what we believe we know.
Right. I just love the fact that these are even questions. Like I would ask some of these questions to myself, but like I didn't realize there was a whole community also asking why.
Yes,
Why
yes,
are
a
we in
broad community. Yes,
why are we in fear? Like why are we enslaved? Like what can we do as citizens to all join together instead of being in fear of these tactics that they're trying to use.
well, it comes down to having a government by the Constitution, for the Constitution, of we the people, by the people, for the people, running our government. It was never meant to be a mass number of elite leaders running us. It was they work for us, yet we have all been hypnotized into fear to
Mhm.
and submit and comply.
Yeah.
And if we don't comply, then, you know, these consequences, everyone wants to do a good job and support their family. It is time to wake up for all of us.
Yes. I pray the portal of financial abundance to this realm opens completely for everybody.
Yes. And abundance of knowledge is the way we get to true abundance in humanity. Community, there are plenty of digital warriors and doing amazing things. Just so many people right now, uh, even in public, just confronting and helping people get along to truth is at least as we are allowed to know. And I say allowed to know because real divine truth has been suppressed from all of
Extremely.
humanity. So
Yes.
we think we know what we think we know, right?
Right. But we can only expose layers at small periods of time.
Yes. So the truth is out there, and I say we definitely are here to promote those telling the truth and who are very good at it, who effectively show the evidence and the insurmountable evidence. It's been 21 years now since 9/11 event, and we know so much more now. And so this is a way to keep going because it shall never be forgotten. It shouldn't just be remembered on 9/11. We're
Right.
going to keep pounding on this topic because it's an important one. We can't ever let this happen again in our world, really. There's no reason for war. It's all to build a financial uh, pocketbook for elites that, as far as I'm concerned, there are too many awake now for them to keep running and controlling us.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. So, why was the Pentagon really struck and by what? So, in the documentary Loose Change, we find that there was a large fund missing from the Pentagon 2 days before it got hit. 2 days before it got hit. Now, that is such a telling sign to me, honestly. It really
Mm-hmm.
is. Like, of course, and it was from that specific area of the Pentagon. They were specifically hitting a certain area. What was the area, Molly Moose?
The FBI area that contained documents, I believe, I've heard some other source say that those documents were UFO disclosure
Yep,
documents.
yep. Isn't that? And and in the front of the Pentagon, if there were a plane to come down, it would have hit the grass before it hit the Pentagon.
Yes.
There's no markings in the grass, excuse me. There are no markings in the grass at all until everybody like comes to investigate. Then there's marks in the grass, but when they first arrive, there's no indentations, nothing. It's ridiculous. And go ahead.
Yeah, something about the light posts too, that the light post, the poles had come down prior to the plane coming through. Witnesses saw a plane, but witnesses heard something drop out of the bottom of the plane, and the plane clear the top of the Pentagon.
Exactly. Also, I'm going to go to the next slide. This is where it says Pentagon. Right under is a picture. So there was a taxi driver driving, and all of a sudden, a light pole hit his car. Like it went in
Yes.
his windshield. He has reportedly said multiple times, I never saw a plane hit the light pole. I never ever saw a plane go above. And that
Hmm.
is so odd because Flight 77s are huge. It would be so obvious if you saw a
Yes.
plane go over.
Yes, yes, there is a very good documentary. Hopefully, we can drop it in the description that these witnesses, including police officers, very brave policemen, talking about the path and everyone's I think there were at least 6 or 7 witnesses validating the path was not what was reported, and that the light posts had come down prior to that plane coming
And
through.
all of the cameras that were in the near the Pentagon were wiped, gone, like weren't even on. They said, even the gas station on the corner they took the camera out of.
Yeah. Yeah. Why would be the question.
Why?
I have to cut it a little short, Maddie. I've got concrete being poured.
Okay.
Madcraft. I
Well,
sorry
thanks
to
for coming
cut it
on,
off.
Molly Moose. No worries. We will be disclosing 9/11 more, I would say, in the future. I'll let you
Yes.
guys know when, and we'll have a longer discussion with Molly Moose, but I'm going to continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Madcraft. Love you all.
Love you too. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So I'm just going to go through some photos with you guys. Am I able to? Okay. So what I find really odd about my 9/11 research is that I cannot find a single video of a plane hitting the first tower. I thought I saw one, but I saw one, and I've just seen one video, and basically what happened, because I remember questioning myself, why would somebody be filming the towers right before it hits the building? Also, in that video, it was firefighters. It was firefighters already on the street before the Twin Towers got hit. The first building. I think it was World Trade Center, was it 3? Oh, it just says plane hits World Trade Center. Okay. And that really got me questioning, like, what is going on here? Like, why would the cops and the firefighters already be on the street recording right before the plane hits? They were just chilling in the street, down the street. I don't know if they were at the firefighter house or firehouse. I don't know if they were hey, hey, undocumented human project. I don't know if like they were just chilling on the street, just happened to like be recording a camcorder and just happened to be under right where the plane was. Like, you hear the plane and you just hear it go shoo, and you just see the firefighter like look up, and then he turns the camera and it looks to the left, and he like it like moves in a circle motion. I'm like, why is it moving in the circle motion? And it's like, and then he's like, oh, ish. He's like, crap. And then the plane hits the first building. Now, I watched that video over and over and over and over and over again, and I'm like, dude, what the heck? Like, you can't even tell if it's a real plane. I can't find anything on Google. I can't find anything on DuckDuckGo of an actual video of it. I can't find that video anywhere. The only time I found that video was on oh, was it I think it was on Instagram. I think it's on Instagram somewhere. Anyways, I just found that super fishy. And then Flight 93. Have you guys heard of Flight 93? Oh my gosh. This is ridiculous. In this photo that I have provided of Flight 93 crash, there's no plane. There's literally no freaking plane at all. They couldn't find any bodies. They couldn't find anything. They couldn't find anything. Like, there was a couple odd plane pieces that weren't even that big. It was some crushed aluminum. I was like, what is this? Why? What is this? And there was multiple interviews, because that was in like a small town. That was like in a hick town, and what I've experienced in hick towns, they know their planes, okay? And he was like, I don't remember the plane he said, but he's like, I thought it was this specific plane, and it sounded like a missile. I heard a missile go shoo and then hit something. That's what I heard. And there was multiple counts of people saying that. And yeah, the firefighters and the people that were called there were like, where's the plane? where is it? I can't, like, they were shocked. And oh no, it went missing or it disintegrated. Like, is that their call to, like, their call to excuse? Oh, it just disintegrated. We can't figure out how or why or when or who or where. It's just disintegrated. Oh, just kidding. And then later they find, oh my gosh, yeah, this guy who looks suspicious flew this plane and he had an agenda. And I'm like, dude, no. No. This is the Pentagon. Oh, Building 7. Okay, so I wish I could zoom in. I'm gonna figure out these features, guys. Don't worry, don't worry. But this is a meme that I found. Super funny, super funny. It says one of these buildings collapsed. Can you guess which one? And these are like massive buildings that have been on fire before, and Building 7 is in the right hand corner, and there's only 2 or 3 levels that are on fire, and it collapsed. It freaking collapsed. So there are so many factors to make a building collapse. There was a interview with a professional demolitionist, been in demolition business for over 30 years, and he knew demolitions. He didn't They just showed a video to him. They didn't tell him any information before the video started. And basically, they asked him, "Is this a demolition?" And he was like, "That is definitely a demolition. What is that?" And they're like, "Oh, a plane just flew and hit New York. I mean, hit the Twin Towers in New York." And he was like, "This is happening? This is happening right now?" He was like, why would they tear it down? Like, the heat rises, the heat goes up. Why would they tear it down? So this is the Pentagon, and this is the story I was telling you about. The taxi driver who who was driving, and then a pole just fell down and went through his windshield. The media's story was basically that the plane that was flying down hit the pole and then flew into the Pentagon. Now, I don't believe that's the case. He has said over and over and over again, I did not see a plane. I did not see a plane hit the Pentagon. He was like, I didn't even see a plane fly over me. And maybe he was in shock. Maybe he didn't look back. Maybe he didn't realize what happened. But I don't know. That's super fishy to me. And then the plane hits the second tower. Oh, my GIF isn't playing. Dang it. So all of this happened in one day. What does that say? What does that say? These are massive catastrophes. Like, these are massive, like, this doesn't just happen. Like, people don't just make these plans to go fly a plane into a building. Like, obviously there was an objective, but like, whose objective? Why? Like, what's the point? Like, why would they be playing these games? Like, and this all happened right before Afghanistan. Sorry, I have to say a word. Afghanistan. Literally, a few days later, America is dropping these explosions on on sorry, excuse me, these explosions on foreign countries. Like, that's awful. Why would this be the objective? And I think it's to enslave us. So, what are the main factors that contribute to towers collapsing? So these are supposed to be gifts. On the left side is building 7. On the right side is is the Twin Tower compared to a full on fire building. And there's a lot of speculations going on, as in, like, why would the towers be ashing in midair? It would have to disintegrate completely. Another one is, why did building 7 collapse when there was only fires on a few floors? It's very hard to melt steel. It is, you have to get to extreme temperatures to melt steel. And a lot of the steel in the debris of the Twin Towers were twisted and morphed, and that it didn't get that hot. Like, I saw this documentary where they had this theory about this scientist who could manipulate energy. He found out a way to manipulate energy with, like, a tool. They wouldn't show the tool or anything like that, but basically he disappeared a whole building while he was trying to test this tool out. And he could literally, like, float stuff, he could bend things, he could twist things. And there was an incident where he literally vanished the entire building, and he couldn't explain it to the insurance people, and it's all on document and record. Crazy stuff. And so they had a theory that they did this with the Twin Towers, because it's falling in mid-ash. It had to collapse in the bottom. There wasn't very much debris. There was paper everywhere. Like, how can there be an explosion and then paper be everywhere if, none of it was charred? It wasn't on fire. Like, also, a bunch of cars. It was reported that a bunch of cars were, like, getting exploded around the whole block. And they had the theory that it had to do with this energy force, this energy field, like it would combust engines and stuff like that. Like, a bunch of vehicles kept catching, like, exploding, like, inside of itself. It's so odd. I'll show you some pictures on my next slideshow. So also a good point was the seismic scale. If you guys don't know what a seismic scale is, it's to use and describe the strength or the size of an earthquake. There are 2 types of scales: intensity scales that describe the intensity and severity of ground shaking at a given location, and magnitude scales that measure the strength of the seismic event itself, usually based on an instrumental chord. So The seismic scales that were provided for Building 7 and the Twin Towers did not even compare to a bombing. Oh, I shouldn't say that word. Didn't even compare to an mm, an actual earthquake. It didn't, like, the earthquake was much larger than the seismic scale of Building 7 and the Twin Towers. And that just boggles my mind. Like, what type of, like, they also compared demolitions. They compared the demolition seismic scale to the Twin Towers and Building 7 seismic scale, and it wasn't even comparable. They were so small. The seismic scale was like, oh, I can't remember. It's like 0.5, and then like the compared to the other one, it's just super small. It's like super odd to me, honestly. So they also had a pancake theory. Man, I wish my gifts would work. I thought my gifts would work in this presentation, but the pancake theory is basically where if a building is on fire, which it has to be fully engulfed and on fire for hours, okay? Hours. Like that this building that I showed you earlier, here, I'll go back. This one, that's on fire from literally almost bottom to top. Look at that. It's literally probably like the 10th floor. It was on fire for 24 hours before it collapsed. That's a question. That's a question we should be asking ourselves. Like, what? This fell down within 30 minutes to an hour? Like, are you serious? What is this? Why? So the pancake theory is when a building is fully engulfed in flames, the steel eventually pancakes like this. Okay? And floor to floor to floor to floor to floor to floor to floor. In the debris of the Twin Towers, none of those steel beams are pancaked. They're not like that. They're either twisted or straight. Like, this stuff boggles my mind. Like, I love thinking about this stuff, and thank you guys for hanging out with me and having this conversation. Like, it's so much fun. But also, why would the building ash in midair? Now, if these photos worked, the brown building in the middle is a comparison to the Building 7 on the left, and it's a demolition. And basically, it just shows that Building 7 looked more like a demolition than it did like a collapse. Yeah, so these are just questions that we should be asking ourselves about our situation on this realm. Like, do we really want these people in control that are fear-mongering, creating this, I believe, psychological war? Like, this was a tactic to put us in fear and have an excuse to hurt another country because there's something we need there. Like, please, 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 please open your eyes, guys. Please, please, please wake up. I pray that we make this realm a better place for all of us humans. All of us humans that, you know, deserve freedom because this stuff is not okay. Like, it really isn't. But thank you guys for chilling with me in my discussion about 9/11. I definitely will be elaborating on this subject. I have a lot of notes that I need to cut down and prioritize and organize, and I can't wait to share some more. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me. Peace, love, and light. Practice harmony, self-sustainability. All right, I'm gonna cut out now. Have a nice day.